If you've been looking at a set of vintage lenses for a video, Contax Zeiss is probably a name that comes up a lot. I have owned and operated a set of Contax Zeiss vintage lenses now for around 4.5 years, and I want to talk about all of the negative aspects of owning and operating these lenses. What's up, guys? My name is Mitchell. I'm an American living in Hanoi, Vietnam, and I'm a part-time filmmaker and kind of just a camera and lens nerd. I absolutely love these lenses, but they're not without their downsides. And the first downside that I want to talk about is picking up a matching set. Now, these lenses came in an AEG, an AEJ, an MMG, and an MMJ variant because they were manufactured in both West Germany at the time as well as Japan. They do match quite well though, especially if you're using kind of prosumer A7S III, FX3, FX6 cinema bodies. These lenses essentially are going to look relatively similar, and the coatings didn't really change that much. The image quality between Germany and Japan isn't really that different, but finding a matching set will come at a premium. That is the first con. The second con is actually finding good examples of these lenses. Now, here in Vietnam, these lenses would be considered a luxury item, and thus people take exceptional care of these like they are a luxury item. And because of the humidity here, everyone stores these lenses in a humidity controlled cabinet, or they use some kind of dehumidifier in a sealed container to keep them from developing mold and fungus. That said, all of the examples that I have are mint. That wasn't that easy for me to find, but I was able to find them, and that's kind of why I chose not to have a matching set with MMG or MMJ or AEG or AEJ, because I wanted a set of lenses that were all going to be mint. And luckily I was able to find that here. The next con that you're gonna have to deal with when getting any of these is figuring out some kind of adapter or doing some kind of lens mount conversion. I went with the CineModded EF conversion mount, and in retrospect, I wish that I had gone with the CineModded LPL conversion mount. That would have given me a better locking connection. And I know that now, I think Photodiox or KNF Concepts or Metabones now has kind of a locking Contax Zeiss to Sony E mount adapter, but at the time that I bought these and modded them, the only thing or the most common thing available was the Canon EF mount conversions, and thus all of these are mounted to EF. A downside of that though is that EF mount is not a locking mount. They do make locking EF mounts, but in general, those adapters are kind of difficult to find, and the shim stack for them may vary from adapter to adapter, which is something that could be an issue for you. Another issue when talking about that mount conversion is that these lenses aren't necessarily designed to be shimmed. Thus, the mounts for them are kind of semi-permanent, or at least something that you wouldn't be taking on or off. And when you get these mounts from Cinnemodded, they have like minimal shimming available, but you don't get a shim kit for them. And because of differences among the different years and variants of them, you're gonna have slightly different mount converters per each lens. So it's not like you can get one set of shims for all of these mounts and they all work. They would have to be specific shims for the specific model lines of lenses that you have. Another downside is that they are all photo lenses, and thus they have a shorter focus throw. Now, they've all been modified with focus gears from followfocusgears.com. No affiliation, just if you guys are looking for follow focus gears. They do a pretty good job, and all of these gears are on here really sturdily, much better than the rubber ring mounts that I have used in my experience. That can mean that when you're on set and you are using these with a follow focus module, that you want to make sure that you are manually calibrating them, because these lenses are not made with a helicoid that is meant to be banged back and forth on a follow focus motor that is calibrating them. That means ultimately that you might have helicoid wear, or you have to do helicoid replacements for some of these lenses if you are constantly using them with a follow focus motor and they're just gonna wear out faster. Sorry about that. Sounds of Vietnam. One thing that I do have to comment though in regards to focus is that the actual placement of all of the focus rings is actually pretty close. So you're not doing a ton of adjusting for the follow focus motor, more than a couple of centimeters each time. So ultimately the follow focus, kind of the placement of the focus rings, I should say, for these lenses, it actually matches up pretty well, which if you're looking for some kind of way to control the light coming into your lens, and you want to use a matte box, you're going to need to use a matte box with some kind of bellow or some kind of rubber hood that goes over the frontal element of these. I do have 85 millimeter cine rings or front mount conversion adapters, but I haven't used them with a matte box because finding a matte box that actually has that kind of system is kind of expensive, and you're not going to be actually mounting the matte box to the lenses. You're going to have to run 15 millimeter rods. That's just going to slow you down on set unless you have some kind of swing away matte box by Wooden Camera or Orange Camera. Are two companies that have solutions similar to that, but not being able to use a matte box on these is also another downside. Another downside that I want to touch on with the Contax Zeiss set specifically is the fact that you are limited in focal range options, especially on the wider end. Now there is an 18 millimeter f4, which I have extensive use with for a couple of shorts that I've shot here. You do have a 25 millimeter f2.8, which is pretty rare and hard to find, although it is like relatively moderately priced. And if you want something wider than that, that's still an f2.8, your only other option is going to be the eye-wateringly expensive Contax Zeiss 21 millimeter f2.8. That lens regularly goes for well over $1,800 to $2,000 on eBay because it is a really rare, hard to find lens. I've considered getting another Zeiss lens, either a ZF2 or something different to use in my set, just to have a matching set of Zeiss lenses. But in general, focal length selection and actually finding a copy that's going to match your lenses is going to be difficult. The last and final downside I can see to using these lenses is that these lenses are not engineered with serviceability in mind. Cine lenses are generally engineered to be taken apart, CLA'd, put back together, and have parts replaced so that they can be used in rental houses and just long-term use in general. These lenses are not going to have that, and any kind of repair or maintenance that you want on these lenses is going to need to be done by someone that has a little bit or some more experience specifically in doing vintage lens repair and maintenance. That means that you're going to be definitely paying a premium to keep these bad boys up and running for years to come. That said, the image quality that you get out of these is absolutely phenomenal. I love how they have this very kind of soft, creamy, dreamy look when shot wide open. When you stop them down a bit, they really, really sharpen up, but they don't feel clinical. They have a little bit of character to them and they look absolutely phenomenal. I think that the flares that they have are nice. They even hold quite a bit of contrast when you're shooting into direct light, but they just are awesome. And they have this great organic, natural feel and look that I love. And at least here in Vietnam, using a name brand like Zeiss does get me more work with clients. It could be the name and it could be kind of brand appeal, but when people hear that I have a set of Zeiss lenses, it is enough sometimes to get them to hire me for stuff, which is kind of odd, but that's just how stuff is working here in Vietnam. I've shot a couple of music videos with these. I've shot some shorts with them, some short films with them. I've shot some recreations for a feature-length documentary that I've been working on with them. And overall, every time I use them, I'm blown away by the image, the way it makes skin look, how pleasing it is, the way it renders detail, fall off from them, micro contrast, all of the hype that people talk about these lenses, in my opinion, is somewhat justified. And if you're putting them on kind of a prosumer level camera, think A7S III, FX3, FX6, they absolutely do transform your image and make it feel more organic, more natural, and they really take the production value up a notch. And unlike adding a pro mist filter onto a modern lens, they each have their own unique character and feel. The set that I have is a set that I would say is of rehousable quality because they are all essentially perfect without blemishes, no scratches on any of the front or rear elements of these. And again, because we're in Vietnam, all of these lenses have been kept in a humidity controlled environment. So you don't have to worry, or I don't have to worry about mold or fungus on them. And ultimately, this set of lenses has been a great investment for me. But I don't think I would do it again. Simply because when I'm working on set, I want a pair of workhorse lenses that I don't have to necessarily worry about. And the fact is that these lenses definitely do slow me down a bit on set. When I bought them, we didn't really have stuff from like DZO or from Nisi. And I think that for people that are looking to get a set of manual focus lenses for video, even something like the Rokinons, or I recently saw a couple sets of Zeiss CP2s going for a very, very reasonable price. I think that I would prioritize something like that I can use every day, that I can rent out, that I can have beat up, damaged, and then get replacement parts for or get fixed if necessary. These are all very much collector grade stuff, which means that I can charge more for renting them out, but at the same time, I'm always so nervous about them. I almost never take them out unless it's a really high paying job or it's a job that specifically wants that kind of soft vintage look. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have questions about anything I discussed in today's video, go ahead and drop them in the comments down below. I'm trying to get this YouTube channel going along with my other YouTube channel that's been monetized for years. But this channel, I'm more focusing about my passion and my hobby of filmmaking, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Peace.